Welcome to You the Boss podcast, episode 4. I'm your host, Pam. And today's topic is going to be embracing the chaos. And I want to dedicate this episode again in honor of Women's History Month to my ladypreneurs, to my female creatives, my performers, dancers, singers, poetry. I know that it's difficult to choose a non-conventional way of making a living or of putting yourself out there in the world. And it's a beautiful thing, but honestly, it can cause a lot of self-reflection. It's a lot of work. And honestly, it's rough. I'm an entrepreneur myself, and you ride the waves of the highs and the lows, and I just wanted to dedicate this episode to you guys. I hope that you're enjoying your journey. And if you ever want to chat, you guys can find me at Boss Lady Pujols on Instagram. So today we're going to be talking about embracing the chaos. And I want to say that over the last 2 years, I've been dabbling in Audible. Now, I know if you're listening to this, you're probably like, I can't do audiobooks, or maybe you love audiobooks. Me personally, I kind of struggled with them at first because even though I love to listen, um, it was kind of hard for me to feel like I was really getting something out of a book if I was listening to it, and I just love the actual touch of books. But I've listened to a few books on Audible, and the ones that I have chosen to listen to have been great because they've been read by the author. And so currently I'm listening to a book called Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. And honestly, I've put this Audible down every so often and listened to a few and read a few books in between. So I've kind of really been digesting this. So the other day, we were lucky enough this week to get blessed with beautiful weather here in New Jersey. And I was listening to one of the chapters while I was outside taking a walk. And in the chapter that I was listening to, she started to talk about embracing the chaos. And if you know me even a little bit, or if you don't, I'm going to tell you right now, I've always felt like chaos is chaotic, but it's also, I feel like I revel in chaos. And, people can argue oh, that could be trauma, that could be this, that could be that. Again, that's not what we're doing here. I'm just here to kind of talk about what chaos does to us and just kind of the reflection that I had on this chapter. So I've always felt like I revel in chaos. Almost like, I said it in my first episode, if you're ever in a bind and you called me, I could probably be like, okay, let's figure something out, or let's take care of this. And I think that, we surround ourselves with the same kind of people that we are in a lot of ways. So I feel like a lot of the people around me are the same way, where we might get a little anxious, we might get a little stressed, but we're going to handle it. When the chaos is here, we handle it. And in the book, she was talking about, the three different ways that we handle chaos. She listed them as ignoring them, battling them, or just drowning in them. And I'm listening and I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to speak from a personal perspective, and I hope that you can relate, or that you're listening and you're kind of taking it in okay, well, do I ignore chaos, or etc. And I realized that I find myself sometimes when something's an issue or it's a problem, I try to fix it in a way that it's not going to be a problem again. And if it's something that needs to be fixed long term and I only have a short term in the present time, I'll go the short term route for a little bit, and then I'll kind of ignore it. I'm kind of just out of sight, out of mind, and kind of pretending that it's not there. And then I'll go like a week, maybe 10 days, and I'm like, I haven't slept through the night in like a week. Like, what's going on? Or why do I feel so anxious? Or why do I feel like I'm overwhelmed? Like, what is this feeling? And then it comes back to this, like, I guess, back of the mind chaos that I'm ignoring. So like as she was going through this, I'm like, okay, I see that example. Like, I guess, I'm ignoring that, or I'm kind of just not dealing with it right now, right? Like that's kind of the social acceptance of like, I'm just not dealing with that right now. Or I'm not feeling it. But that stress always catches up, right? Like, just because you ignore it right now doesn't mean you're actually ignoring it. In fact, you're actually making more stress for yourself. It's keeping you up. You're not sleeping right. Like, you're not focused. And like, you sometimes can't really figure it out because subconsciously, your subconscious is not ignoring it. Your conscious mind might be, but your subconscious isn't. And it's kind of interfering with your conscious mind. The second option is, not the second option, the second way of handling chaos, she said, was like battling it. And at first I thought she meant like fighting it, like trying to fight the chaos. And I'm like, well, aren't you supposed to fight chaos? Like, aren't you supposed to kind of try to solve chaos? But what she actually said was, in battling chaos, we try to fight it from a different field. So she used the example of trying to clean, of trying to be in control in a different place. Now, if you're listening to this, I want you to know that I'm one of those people that if you ever hear me say I can't function in clutter, or I need to purge because, that clutter of like that closet or the garage is really bothering me. When I heard this part in this audible, I was like, whoa, she's talking to me. um, and sometimes I don't even realize it. And I've like over the last couple of days, I've really been like, okay, let's simmer down here. Like, what is making me anxious? I was feeling a little bit anxious. I'm feeling like, why do I suddenly want to throw everything out? I want to purge everything. I want to clean everything. Like, some things are already clean. So why am I double cleaning that? So when I was listening to this audible, I was like, wow, how often do you hear someone say, I got into a fight with my mom or my significant other or one of my best friends, and I went home and I started cleaning and I did laundry and I washed the walls and we take it off, we brush it off as like, that person has OCD or they love to clean or like that's how you handle it. And it's like, no, because we have this chaos that we're not dealing with. We're trying to be in control somewhere else. And I was, I was walking and I was thinking to myself, how many times have I ever disagreed with anyone and I'm suddenly like in a fidget moment, I'm suddenly like folding something. I'm trying to control something that has nothing to do with anything. Like you're almost reflecting in a different realm because you're not really handling the issue at hand. So it's kind of in my mind, it kind of goes hand in hand with the first one, which you're kind of ignoring it. You're trying to be in control in a different arena, but you're ignoring the chaos. You're ignoring what the principal issue is, what the foundation of that issue is. And then the last form of how we handle chaos is like drowning in it. And this is something that, you get close with people or you observe people, or if you read enough, you start to really learn different things about people and the different people that you connect with. And drowning in chaos, I'm sure that if you're an overachiever, you're listening to this and you're saying, well, I don't drown in chaos. And as an overachiever, I'm here to tell you that, yes, we do drown in chaos. In fact, we probably drown the most in chaos. Because as an overachiever, you sit there and you're constantly consumed with different things. As an overachiever, you're trying to constantly do something. You're not necessarily the type that sits still. You're not necessarily the type that lets other things distract you. When you have a goal and you're trying to get somewhere, you're there, you're present, and then at the same time, you're drowning in this overachievement of yourself. You're overwhelming yourself with trying to be perfect, trying to get everything right the first time, of trying to, if you're a business owner, you're trying to run your social media, live a normal life, and go to bed by 10:30 tonight. Like, you're trying to do multiple things, and like at some point you're suffocating. At some point you have a breakdown. A lot of the time it's a breakdown that teaches us until our next episode. But sometimes that drowning comes in affecting our health. It comes in affecting our hormones. It comes in affecting our households. Depression or anxiety or mental health is such a huge topic, and I just want to keep learning and being present when it comes to these conversations. But when I think of drowning, I think of suffocating. I think of, it's like a bad dream, and you go to scream because you're in this bad situation, and you are screaming and it's like inaudible. It's like your mouth is open, you are pushing all of the air out of your lungs, and you're drowning. You cannot, no one can hear you scream. And that is exactly what we do with chaos. I think that we've been conditioned to think that asking for help is wrong or a sign of weakness. And I'm speaking to you from a perspective of being raised by a warrior of a mother. And you're kind of, Dominican women are kind of taught like, no, you don't demonstrate that. Like, you don't demonstrate when something's wrong because you don't know who's watching, you don't know who's this, who's that. So again, it's like a double fixation of, you either have to ignore the chaos, you have to fix it somewhere else, or you're going to drown. And in drowning in chaos, and I'm really focusing on drowning in chaos because if you're listening to this, I hope that you are in a good state of mind. I hope that you are living and thriving. But if you're not, I want you to know that you are not alone, that you're on this journey with the rest of us. None of us know what we're doing. None of us have ever adulted before. And even the people before us, they didn't adult beforehand. So we're kind of just making it up as we go. And yes, we might have some examples or some standards or some milestones to hit, whether it be becoming a parent, getting married, buying a house, or moving across the country and starting a new life, or, whatever those things look like for you. I want to let you know that chaos, that thing that feels like it's suffocating you, it can be handled. Whether it be with a professional, whether it be you want to reach out to someone who's not biased. Again, you can reach out to me on Instagram. We are constantly in a state of drowning. I've mentioned this before in my previous episodes, talking about social media and all the good things that come with that. But today I'm not going to talk about the good things on that. I'm going to talk about feeding that drowning in the chaos. If you ever fall asleep, if you fall asleep on your phone, you go to note that you don't purposely fall asleep. You just look for a way to fall asleep. So really your brain never kind of turns off. And so you're in this chaotic time of constantly scrolling on your phone. And you know what? When I say scrolling on your phone, I don't even mean mindless scrolling. If you're a business owner and you're scrolling on Instagram because you're looking for content, you're looking for ideas, you're trying to, put your business out there, you are drowning because now you have these quote unquote settings in your mind that, you have to post this much and create this much, and you have to do this for your business to be out there on Instagram. And I'm not ignoring the possibilities of social media, but that is so toxic. It can be so toxic to consume you to say like, well, I need to post this and I need to post that and I need to be here for this and I need to be here for that. I'm a photographer and I need to grow my following and I need to do this and I need to do that. And I'm here to tell you that you don't need to grow your following. Your network is important. That's a different topic. But you don't need to grow your following on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter to make your business grow. You need to be a good business owner. You need to be professional. Those are all like kind of those little standards that, somewhat have been forgotten. But you don't have to have 10,000 followers on your photography page to get a lot of work. In fact, you need a couple of good clients who refer you to clients, who refer you to clients, who refer you to clients, and so on and so forth. And yeah, you do want to be up to date on your social media because that's the things that people reference. But you don't want to be dependent on that chaos, of drowning in that chaos, of almost like, if I'm not doing this, I won't be here. And, we tend to kind of ignore those different things that are happening, right? We tend to kind of clean out in a different form. Like, oh, you know what? Like, I'm going to block out the people on social media that are talking about this political group and this specific topic. And like, that's going to change my life. And I'm here to tell you that there is so much more depth to what you're looking to do with your social media or why you're on social media. And for some people listening to this, you might not be an entrepreneur. You might be a career person. You might not be interested in doing anything outside of the degree that you got because that was your dream and that's where you're at. But there's also the chaos and coming to terms with saying, you know what, I love being an entrepreneur and I really like the security of my job. So I'm okay with being where I'm at. I'm okay with this self-reflection of not living to everyone else, because some chaos comes from things around us, from external forces, and then some chaos comes from within. And I'm here to encourage you to really reflect on some of that chaos. Again, there are external forces that we can't control, that we can't really do a lot about. When you get a flat on the highway because you got a nail and you don't know where you got that nail in your tire and it just happened and that makes you late to wherever it is that you're going, like, that's external. But the chaos of fighting yourself inside and saying, I should have checked my tires before I left, I should have this, and like, it's a chaos that you don't need to create for yourself. We need to be strong with ourselves and we need to trust ourselves, but we need to let go of that chaos. In this past winter, it snowed so much here in New Jersey that I will probably be talking about it till at least the end of April because it snowed so much. And I found myself being kind of annoyed getting on social media this winter and everyone's like, oh my God, it's snowing again. I'm so over this. Where is summer? And like, I'm not invalidating those feelings. I do want to say that if I follow you on social media and you're listening to this, like, no, I'm not coming for you. It just felt chaotic to me to constantly see that, like, oh my gosh, I'm so over it. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, that's why I need to take a step back from social media, because that's chaos for me. I internalize a lot, and in internalizing and in putting myself, amongst all these different things, I feel like some of that I don't let go. Some of that I carry it with me, and it gives me like bad vibes. It gives me that bad energy that I kind of really don't want to deal with. It gives me that chaos, especially right now because I'm not amongst my friends and family as often as I'd like to be. I'm not in a different state, once or twice a month as I would like to be, because of everything that's going on. And, hopefully things go back to a sense of normalcy. But in this chaos of us being on our phones, of us being so connected, we are so disconnected from ourselves from the chaos that we are seeing in the world, but also from the chaos that we are kind of creating within ourselves from the different observation. And winding down a little bit to kind of end this section of, what I was listening to in this book, she said something that spoke to me in such a way that I'm still processing it. So probably by the time you listen to this episode, I'm probably going to write a whole thing about it in my journal, because her statement was that she thinks that in embracing our chaos, we find our peace. Whoa. That is so deep on so many levels. We are constantly looking to be at our most high. I want the perfect skin. I want the perfect tan. I want the perfect height. I want the perfect weight. I want my curls to be perfect. I want my makeup to be perfect. I want my nails to be perfect. I want my pedicure to be perfect. I want all these things to be perfect. And sometimes the day you wash your hair and you diffuse it, it doesn't look the way you wanted it to. And you know what? Your tan might reflect. Your tan might not be as good, or it might give you a little bit of skin damage. It might give you some freckles, or you might be a little off on your ideal weight right now. We have to find that peace in the chaos. We have to really come to terms with knowing that it's not always going to be perfect. You're not always going to have the perfect thing to say on social media or the perfect following. We're not perfect beings. If you believe in a higher being, you know that no one's perfect. We're not supposed to be perfect. We're supposed to be here for one another. We're supposed to help raise our future generations to take care of our planet as it has taken care of us. And then the rest is just embracing the waves of the ocean. Imagine if every boat that's ever been in the ocean tried to control the ocean. Every single one would lose. Every single boat would lose. Instead of, imagine yourself, and again, I want to wind down here. Imagine that you are a ship and you are leaving the dock to sail across the world. And instead of going with the way the waves are crashing right now, you're trying to go against them. And you find yourself almost spinning in the water. And there's this chaos of water against boat. And you're like, what is going on? My boat works. Like, we did inspection. Everything's working fine. What's going on? And then you realize for like 1 second that you're not lacking anything. You're not off on your game. You are just not riding the wave of the chaos. You're trying to fight this chaos that is trying to just move your boat across the world. And so I want to bring this to you and ask you, what is causing your chaos right in this moment? What is causing you chaos? It could be small. It could be like, I have this deadline at work and I have no idea how I'm going to get there. Or it could be you're battling and you're in a season of battling yourself, of maybe your body image or your self-image, or battling yourself, battling your ideas, and battling your goals, where you might be questioning your decisions. I want you to know that, yes, a pandemic is still present. We've all been through an astronomical year. But I want you to know that your peace is in that chaos. Your boat is 1 second away from being on the path across the world. And all it takes is that decision to embrace that chaos, to embrace that inner wildness of saying everything doesn't need to be perfect in this second. I just gotta ride it out. Thank you for listening. I hope to hear from you guys. Come back next week for another episode of You the Boss podcast.